12 seems to be the age when kids start putting the heat on their parents about the truth behind Santa. Now, I was certainly no exception to this rule. I mean, how were Santa's elves able to make that video game I wanted in their workshop? I thought Nintendo owned Mario. Or how about the ever-infamous visiting every house in one night question? Did the jolly old man own some kind of time-extending device? Or perhaps the most obvious question of all, how could he have lived for so long? A lot of people say he trains apprentices who take his place every few decades. Others claim he's just immortal. As for everything else, magic seemed to be the universal lie everyone had agreed on. Whatever the case, I just went with the conclusion that it was my parents' doing. Of course, they'd deny it and claim ignorance if I confronted them, but it wasn't enough to dissuade my beliefs. So on Christmas Eve, when I couldn't sleep as these questions danced among my dreams of sugar cereals and new games, I decided to investigate the noises coming from my living room. This time, surely I'd catch my dad or mom in the act of stowing presents under the tree. At least then, they'd let me in on the truth. But as I entered the living room, I saw a man before me that I didn't recognize. He was dressed in red and white, with a slightly overweight body, and he wore a stringy, fake white beard. His hair, or what remained of it, was graying around the edges of his classic Santa hat, and his eyes were wide with fright as he dropped a present under the tree. Being the intuitive youth I was, I came to one of the two conclusions. Either this was a home invader stealing my family's gifts, or this was the real Santa. I opened my mouth to scream, but the man rushed towards me and covered my mouth. Shh, shh, he said, putting a finger to his mouth, trying a smile. Tears began to roll down my cheeks. I was petrified of this man. Then slowly he took back his hand and extended it towards me. It's all right, little one. You know who I am, right? I nodded, not shaking his hand back. The trembling man nodded as well, then grabbed an empty sack lying on the floor and gestured to the tree. Look, see? I bring gifts. Now run along to bed or I might have to put you on the naughty list. He started drifting towards the deeper, hearty voice stereotypically associated with Kris Kringle, but I wasn't fooled. Regardless, I wiped my eyes. I began to step back from the living room, trying to create some distance between me and the stranger. The man simply watched, wiping his brow and proceeding to approach the fireplace. I stopped. I observed, confused as to how he was going to leave my house, but a blast of green flames erupted from the chimney, and the man fell back into the floor. I couldn't see his face, but I'm certain it was twisted in fear like my own. A massive bony hand spawned from the fire, and the arm that followed was draped in raggedy fur, then another arm, and then the skull of some wild creature with two large horns formed, nearly as large as the fireplace itself. The bones popped and snapped as it slammed its hands onto the floor. The entire monster was engulfed in flame, yet it didn't seem to burn anything in the house. Eddie, the monster declared, speaking to what I guessed to be the man on the floor. No, Eddie shouted back. I did my part. See, 10,000 houses, just as you said, right? 10,000, I did my part. And yet you allowed a human child to see you. You know the rules. Look, I've learned my lesson. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Just let me go, please. I deserved all of it. Let you go. Did you let that woman go, Eddie? I don't seem to recall you letting her go. This was your second chance. And you've wasted it. What are you going to do? Eddie whispered. I could make out his quaking figure being overshadowed by the creature in the fireplace. And the next sound to be heard was a crunching with a soft beginning and a snapping finish. I jumped as the sound repeated a few times. Finally, letting out a shaky breath, I prayed in my head that it wasn't what I thought, but when the creature reared its head towards me, I saw the red and white pants hanging from its mouth as it chewed on Eddie's corpse, and watched it slurp up his legs like strands of spaghetti. I covered my eyes. I tried to tell myself that it wasn't real. It wasn't real. It wasn't real. After a quiet minute, I peeked between my fingers to see the monster staring back at me from the fireplace. The pace of my breathing grew quicker and sharper as my eyes, unable to escape from the grasp of those evil eye sockets.
Now run back to bed, little one, or else I might put you on the naughty list.
My legs finally found the strength to leave, and I sprinted. I sprinted from my parents' room, diving into the sheets with them. There was no trace of the events of the night before when my family went down to the tree the next morning. There's even a little note next to an empty glass and a half-eaten cookie. Have a Merry Christmas. S. Claus. As much as I tried to take in the warm, comforting atmosphere that came with Christmas Day, I couldn't stop watching the fireplace. Terrified that the monster would return. At least, now I know the truth about Santa Claus. Hey there kids, and happy holidays. It's me, MrCreepyPasta, and I just wanted to tell you guys thank you for watching tonight's video. If you enjoy watching videos here on YouTube, then you should check out the MrCreepyPasta Storytime podcast, which is available on Spotify and on iTunes and on Google Play and everywhere like that. If you enjoy listening to MrCreepyPasta's Storytime podcast, you'll enjoy watching it on YouTube because it's the same show. You guys are both hearing the exact same thing at the exact same time. Also, thank you guys for supporting me on Patreon or on Popbase. You guys who are the top supporters on Patreon especially, thank you so much. Like Joey Gilbert, Jordan Alexander Sanchez, Wayne Milstead, Chambinski, Ken Lando Higuchi, Brianna Tine-Janzen, Stephen Van Huss, Tristan Pelton, G Weevil 3, Diana Kraus, Asia, The Red Oak Shield Virus, Sandy Barney, Nico Kyle, Caleb Dougal, Daniel Paulson, Dante Rao, Last Blade Song, The Ginger Bros, Don Muemeister, Eliminator 86, Nubsky, Finley E. Hopkins, Steampunk Sinner, Rafael Rodriguez, Optimistic Avocado, and Dr. Strawberry. Everyone there, as well as in the description down below. Thank you guys so much. If you'd like to also follow me on Popbase, where you can get a couple of different updates here and there and play games along with me, then you can do so on your phone. It's on Android and on Apple. And if you guys are looking for something like a hot beverage, such as, say, a tea for the cold winter months, then my wife is still selling teas over at etsy.com/shop/ivorymonocle tea, including a MrCreepyPasta tee that has me on it, dabbing. Don't actually, if you do order that tea, request that sticker because we made it, but she didn't want me to put it on the tea because she said it wasn't professional. I think it's whatever. Check back throughout the entirety of the holiday season for more horror stories every single day. Forever. Sweet dreams, kids.